So this one's going to be a short one. I don't think I actually need to go into a whole lot of detail on how we should be using Kang going forward. I want to start by saying, obviously not by rushing him in. Really quickly, I do think we should change Secret Wars to Time Wars. This way, we don't actually have an excuse for normies to go, oh, we should just rush and get rid of Kang. He's not a real big villain. I mean, top 5 is pretty big. I mean, long-term villain, multiple incarnations, variants, all before the MCU. We could so utilize this. I just think Disney needs to kind of step into this a little further. Like, I'm hoping the X-Men 97 series ends with a cartoon version of Kang appearing. I mean, that would be really cool. I think that we need to actually see Kang fight some Avengers. Like, granted, he fought Ant-Man, but he fought Ant-Man with Hank Pym, 2 other Ant characters, several other superpowered characters. MODOK helped him. You had a whole ass revolutionary army, and you had a couple hundred highly advanced technology wielding, super intelligent ants that were massive. Like, they were like the size of a motorcycle or bigger. That's pretty intense. I don't know if you've ever seen that old like 50s or 60s movie Ants, but giant ants can be really, really scary and tough. So again, anyone that says Kang's weak because Ant-Man beat him, nah. Even if you're mentioning the part where he didn't have his tech at all and lost to Ant-Man, no, he didn't. Even though you had Ant-Man who's more skilled and more routinely requiring him to punch and use martial skill, where Kang actually relies on his tech too much. He still beat Ant-Man's ass. He was about to be killed, if not for the Wasp coming in and, like, flanking him. Which, then they kept working together and he pushed him in there. First off, I don't think Kang was killed there. I think what we saw potentially, if Disney makes the right move, we just saw the origin of how Prime Kang happens. For any of the people out there that are Marvel fans that don't know what this is, in the comics, there was a version of Kang that when you would kill, like this Prime Kang, he would transfer his consciousness into another version of Kang, immediately gaining every memory they had. This really kind of creates in itself an endgame for dealing with Kang. The TVA is already working on taking out Kangs. It's just right there. I think Deadpool 3 should include one, even if it's a post-credit scene. I mean, I think we need to have a little more stuff bringing him in. Like, if the Fantastic Four movie is coming out after Kang's supposed to be handled, it's a really big miss. Like, come on, they're the ones that encounter not Scarlet Centurion, Rama Tut. We already had the jacket of that kid on the rooftop in Moon Knight that had the Rama Tut symbol on his back. We've been building towards this. We really should utilize having multiple Kangs appearing. Like, we need to have a movie where Kang shows up to the, I guess, X-Men verse that we're seeing at the end of the Marvels in the post-credit scene. This would be a really cool way to tie it in. But since the Young Avengers are coming out, I would put that a little more on a rush. I mean, you could bring in Hulkling, the boyfriend of Wiccan, but you'd have to bring Wiccan back, which would bring Speed. Then this is where Ironheart would go. This is where you would bring in all the other ones that have been brought up in it. Like, can't remember his name, but the grandson of the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier, he's a member of the Young Avengers. You also have the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. You have American Chavez. You have Miss Marvel. I mean, we've got a pretty big diversified team here. And all you would have to do is have Iron Lad join. For those who don't know who Iron Lad is, especially the ones that think Ironheart and Iron Lad are just replacements for Iron Man. I would like to point out that's completely false. They all exist in the comics at the same time. They are infinitely different characters, even if they use the same tech. I mean, that's like saying just because they have similar skills or powers, they're all the same character. And I mean, no one said that about Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. But Iron Lad would be the way for the Avengers to defeat Kang, like the whole dynasty. And with everything going on where people are dealing with him, it'd be really cool to actually have a Kang variant go, no, fuck you, I don't want to become you. I believe in the path of the Avengers. Well, of course, a Kang can help defeat the rest of the Kangs, especially if all the Avengers help. Like, woo, that's a big deal there. Because Iron Lad would be taught a bit of how time works from Kang, so he would be a lot more knowledgeable and be capable of telling Captain America, hey, this is what we're really dealing with. This is the big problem. Get all the smart guys together and have them go, oh, well, yeah, how do we deal with this? And they work with them. This could be a way to go forward and finalize the whole Kang storyline. But again, like I said in the beginning, it doesn't need to be Secret Wars. We don't need to make a Beyonder out of Kang. That would be disrespectful to Beyonder. We don't need to rush in Doom because of God Emperor Doom and the Secret Wars story. Like, let's push that to the next saga. Let this whole saga be a predecessor to what's coming. That's what we should have done with Secret Invasion. It should have been a whole saga, and instead, we're just going to end up, if they go down this path, ruining Doom, the Beyonder, and giving up on Kang. So 3 characters screwed over because the fans that are loud, at least, not the majority of us, but the loud ones, the click-typey ones, the ones that can't be honest, the fake fans and anti-fans, or like, the post-comics, pre-MCU fans, or non-MCU pure Marvel fans, like, oof, those are just kind of weird, especially when they keep screwing stuff up so bad. If you haven't seen my honest coverage little videos of the Netflix series, go check it out. You'll understand why I refer to them as the crap flick series. But all in all, Kang is really powerful, and we should actually see this story fall out. So doing a thing where we start having multiple movies, because where's our other 2 Avengers movies? We don't just need a 2-part Avengers movie thing. We had, in the Infinity Saga, we had Loki and Ultron, but then we had the 2-part Thanos story. Why can't we have the 2-part final story versus Prime Kang, but use these other 2 to be different stories? Like, yeah, it's the multiverse saga, so let's have one in the X-Men verse versus a Kang. Let's have one in the Foxverse with Fantastic Four and all that fighting one. Let's give Scarlet Centurion and Ramatut the time they need to shine. But here's a controversial one. Why not show what Kang's been doing that caused all the variants? Why not give us a 3-part Marvel Spotlight where we get to see Kang in his original before Kang the Conqueror version, where he arrives to become Ramatut, like the comics. Then have him leave, but also since it's split, you have a dual thing. You have one where the Fantastic Four win that movie, but then you have the Ramatut that's in the Dynasty. This is how the Dynasty was created, by a difference in decision on whether they won or lost. We could also cover and if you haven't seen it, check out my Geeky Guru short on the dual sacred timeline. I get enough about it. I'll actually go into the effort to bring up a lot more details, rewatch stuff, try and get pictures and video of describing the dual sacred timeline. Like, I'd like to see that. We've seen it 3 times so far. Technically, we saw 3 timelines when He Who Remains showed us. At the beginning of that episode, season finale of season 1 of Loki, we went out of one universe into another. What is the universe in this situation? When we went into it, we went into the core. That ended up being the end of time within a sacred timeline. But if that's what we just left and came into another one, aren't we showing that there's two sacred timelines right there? Another one. In Ant-Man and Quantumania, what did we see when Kang was showing how they're destroying the universe? We saw a timeline up here, we saw a timeline down here, and them stretching down towards each other. The same thing we see the Kang Dynasty looking out upon? Yeah, there's two sacred timelines. I would love for them to dig into that a little more to explain the variance of Kang. I think we really need to drive that forward, and I think we need to have an epic two-part showdown like we've been talking about with Kang, but strip the Secret Wars name. By God, that is a Beyonder story. That is God Emperor Doom. That has nothing to do with Kang. And we can call it Time Wars. Call it Kang Dynasty and Time Wars. There's your two-part. But the other ones, we really should have them face another Kang. We really should have this saga last 4 to 6 more years. This would give it equivalent to the first saga, and we would have a lot more we can do. But people want to rush it. People want to say either rush it or stop making as much content. And it's like, man, we can find a balance with having more content to actually show this. Like, we all love the comics or the animated series or TV series, but we're against Disney doing series. Let them take their time, man. Let them cook. Let them figure this stuff out. This is new. And I think we're going to get a wonderful thing at the end. Overall, my main point is, let's not rush Kang. Let's let this finish out to the end and actually be something worth watching.